Trade is as old as civilization itself. From the moment humans began to form communities, the need to exchange goods and services became apparent. This exchange was not just a means of survival, but also a way to build relationships and foster cooperation among early societies. From the earliest days, humans have exchanged goods and services, laying the foundation for what we now know as business. This primitive form of trade, known as bartering, involved the direct exchange of one good for another. Imagine a farmer trading a portion of his harvest for a hunter's fresh game. This simple yet effective system allowed early humans to meet their needs and diversify their resources. As societies grew more complex, so did their trading systems. The bustling marketplaces of ancient civilizations were hubs of activity, where traders from different regions would come together to exchange their wares. These early markets were the precursors to the sophisticated trade networks we see today. In ancient Mesopotamia, around 3000 BC, trade was born in the form of bartering, exchanging goods like grains, livestock, and textiles. Mesopotamia, often referred to as the cradle of civilization, was a pioneer in developing trade systems. The fertile lands between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers produced abundant crops, which became valuable commodities for trade. Livestock, textiles, and other goods were bartered in a system that relied heavily on mutual trust and the perceived value of the items being exchanged. This system, while effective, had its limitations. The value of goods could be subjective, and finding someone who had what you needed and wanted what you had could be challenging. As communities grew, so did the complexity of trade. The need for a more standardized system became apparent. This led to the development of early forms of currency and record-keeping, which facilitated more efficient and reliable trade. The first recorded trade agreements were made on clay tablets. These tablets, inscribed with cuneiform script, documented transactions and agreements, providing a written record that could be referred to later. This was a significant step towards formalizing trade and ensuring that agreements were honored. This was the beginning of formalizing trade, creating the need for credit, where goods could be exchanged with a promise to pay later. The concept of credit allowed traders to obtain goods even if they did not have immediate payment, fostering trust and long-term business relationships. The promise of future payment became a cornerstone of trade, enabling more complex and far-reaching transactions. This early form of credit was based on personal trust and reputation, which were crucial in small, close-knit communities. Over time, coins and currency replaced bartering, making trade easier and more scalable. The introduction of money provided a common measure of value, simplifying transactions and allowing for the accumulation of wealth. This transition marked a significant evolution in the history of trade, but with growth came the need for trust, and that's where trade credit was born. Trade credit allowed merchants to extend goods and services to buyers with the understanding that payment would be made at a later date. This system required a high level of trust and often relied on written agreements and ledgers to keep track of transactions. In medieval Europe, merchants extended credit to trusted buyers, recording transactions in ledgers. These ledgers were meticulously maintained, detailing the amounts owed and the terms of repayment. This practice allowed merchants to expand their businesses and reach new markets, even if immediate payment was not possible. This allowed businesses to grow beyond immediate cash sales and set the stage for modern trade credit. The ability to buy now and pay later enabled merchants to manage their cash flow more effectively, invest in new ventures, and build stronger relationships with their customers. Today, trade credit is a crucial component of global business, allowing companies to manage cash flow, build relationships, and fuel growth. Modern trade credit systems are highly sophisticated, involving detailed credit assessments, insurance, and financial instruments to mitigate risk. But its roots go deep into the very origins of trade itself. The principles of trust, mutual benefit, and the promise of future payment that underpinned ancient trade credit systems are still relevant today. Join us in the next episode as we explore the birth of trade credit and how it evolved into a key business tool. We will delve into the historical milestones that shaped trade credit and examine its impact on modern commerce. Subscribe and stay tuned for more insights. Our journey through the history of trade is just beginning, and there's much more to discover.